So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is an informational webinar on ANCA's new Small Business Energy Upgrade Initiative. My name is Mihaela Nyberg, and I am the Small Business Services Coordinator at ANCA. So before we jump into the main content, I'm just going to share a little bit more about ANCA and the work that we do for anyone who isn't familiar with us. I know I see some familiar faces on here, but we're just going to go for a little bit of background about ANCA, and then we'll get into more about the program. So ANCA is the Adirondack North Country Association. We are a regional nonprofit organization and we've been around since 1955. Our mission is to build shared prosperity across Northern New York with a vision of a North Country economy that works for all. We serve the 14 northernmost counties of New York State, which encompasses both the Adirondack Park and the Tug Hill regions. You can see them highlighted on the map there. And let me just move some things on my screen. We are committed to welcoming and empowering all in this region. ANCA's work is funded in many ways. We utilize federal, state, and local grants, as well as philanthropic dollars, event fees, donations, and memberships to keep working for you. So your participation in webinars like this one and your support in various ways are greatly appreciated. Like this webinar, we hold a lot of virtual and in-person events throughout the year. So coming up this spring and summer, there's a Black Birders Week celebration on Saturday, May 30th, hosted by the Adirondack Diversity Initiative at ANCA. We host a monthly virtual entrepreneur roundtable. Those take place on the first Tuesdays of the month. The next one will be on June 2nd. That has rolling registration, so you can join at any time. ANCA's annual meeting is coming up on Friday, June 12th, and you can always check out our events page for more on our ongoing programming. If you're looking for more information on small business support in general at ANCA, feel free to reach out to myself or Lauren, or check out our website for more information about ways that we can help you with small business support, including energy work, which we'll get into more in a moment. But just general support services, you can learn more about there or reach out to Lauren or myself. Okay, I'm going to hand things over to Kayla and Aaron. Kayla's a technical energy advisor with the North Country Clean Energy Hub, and Aaron is the director of the North Country Clean Energy Hub. They're going to tell you more about this program and a little bit more about the North Country Clean Energy Hub, my goodness. So thank you, Kayla and Aaron, and I'm going to hand things over to you.
Thanks, Mihaela. I kind of like the Clean Energy Club name. Like maybe we should change our name to that. My name's Erin Griffin. I'm the North Country Clean Energy Hub Director. And I am glad to see everyone here today. I know a webinar on like a beautiful, sunny and warm May day is a tough sell. So appreciate all of you who are here. I just wanted to share with everyone what the North Country Clean Energy Hub is, just so everyone knows that this is a service that's available to everyone, regardless of if you pursue the funding we're able to offer. Like we offer technical assistance and energy support to all businesses and nonprofits. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about that, so you know this is a resource available for you before we kind of jump into the energy upgrade initiative. Next slide, please, Mihaela. So the North Country Clean Energy Hub, we're a team of organizations. So ANCA is the lead organization. So we're a program that's run from ANCA. We work really closely with the Cornell Cooperative Extensions of Jefferson and St. Lawrence County and SUNY Canton. And we work across the North Country region to help residents lower their energy costs, make homes more comfortable and safe, and access good jobs. And we are funded by NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. And you will notice that our energy program and climate and energy region is a little bit smaller than the map that Mihaela showed before. It's the 7 counties, Clinton, Franklin, Essex, Hamilton, St. Lawrence, Jefferson, and Lewis. So it is a little bit smaller of a territory than ANCA's full region, but there are our clean energy hubs all across the state that we can help connect you to if you do happen to be outside that 7-county region. Next slide. So the core of what we offer through the Clean Energy Hub is energy advising. So we have energy advisors for every county that I listed before, as well as Kayla, who you'll hear from in a second, who works with small businesses and nonprofits and multifamily buildings. This is someone who is available to help residents, small businesses, nonprofits with any kind of energy related question you might have, and offer that one-on-one support. We know it's so important to be able to just have that conversation to talk through your specific needs and what programs are out there to help address those needs. So this is a service that we is open to everyone. Next slide, please. And if you're like, what is an energy advisor? I've never heard of that before. We can help answer questions, help figure out what opportunities you qualify for. As you know, the landscape of programs and rebates and incentives is changing all the time. We spend a lot of time tracking on what programs are available, how they've changed, how they're working in the North Country and different regions of the North Country. So we can help make sure that you can access a program that you're supposed to be able to access, which isn't always as straightforward as it should be in some areas of the North Country. We can help complete applications and follow up. We do home visits and site visits sometimes to do this in person. We can connect you with contractors. That's also like not super straightforward in a lot of areas of the North Country. And we do a lot of outreach. So we can provide presentations, we can table, we're available to provide kind of that informational, educational opportunities if you're interested. So I just wanted to kind of give an overview of what the hub provides so you know that you can reach out to us if you're interested. Next slide. Depending on where you are, we have the energy advisors that serve different counties. These are all the energy advisors that serve residents specifically. So if it's a residential question, these are the folks that you would reach out to, and then you'll hear from Kayla shortly, who's your contact if you're a small business or a nonprofit or a multifamily. And the last slide I have before turning it over to Kayla is just inviting you to keep in touch with us. We keep our website updated with as many of the program changes as we can. We post a lot of things on our social media. So if you just invite all of you to follow what we're doing and keep in touch with us if there's something that we can support you with. And now I will hand it over to Kayla.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Kayla Gathiel. I think I've had a pretty good intro of what I do. So I work a lot with small businesses, nonprofits, and multifamily building owners who are interested in doing energy efficiency upgrades. So this kind of program is a nice balance between our small business team and our climate and energy team. So I'm going to be helping Mihaela and Lauren out a lot with this small business energy upgrade initiative, which we're going to give you a quick overview of now and then get into a few case studies of some examples of projects that we've done for nonprofits and small businesses in the past few years to give you an idea of what some of this funding might look like in real time. So just jumping right in, this is supported by the National Grid Foundation, is launching this spring. We're really starting to roll this out right now. And it is an initiative to help engage small businesses, nonprofits, and partners who work with both of those entities to not only provide education about energy efficiency, but also provide some funding for upgrades to your buildings. Next slide, please. So what we're offering through this program is tailored one-on-one consultations, which is something that I do a lot in my job as is. So essentially, this is for energy efficiency and affordability upgrades. We have about 20 consultations available, which are going to begin pretty soon, starting in a few weeks. Hopefully, we'll get that going. And this will just be a time that Mihaela and I can chat with you about not only just what you're interested in terms of energy efficiency, but other wraparound services that the small business team or the climate and energy team might be able to provide you to better support your business. We have about $190,000 available for grants. We're estimating around 10 awards will be available, averaging about $15,000, give or take a little bit. And those awards will begin in September of this year. Next slide, please. So here are kind of the main qualifications in order to be eligible for projects. If you don't meet some of this eligibility, you're still welcome to, hop on a consultation with us to chat more about energy efficiency. But we are really focusing on our 7-county North Country REDC region. So those same counties that Aaron listed before that the Clean Energy Hub covers. We also need the business or nonprofit to be a National Grid customer, since this money is coming from National Grid. They also need to be able to own the building that they're operating out of so that they can make these improvements. And another thing that might be true for all of us is that energy costs are becoming burdensome to the business's financial health. So that is kind of a qualifying factor, but probably, unfortunately, a reality for a lot of folks. And the final bit is that the project cost can either be covered entirely through our available funds if it falls kind of within our estimated project range, or the business, if they have some additional capital and want to do a slightly larger project, they can pay that additional cost if needed to do a slightly larger project above kind of that amount that we listed before. Next slide, please. So here's just a few examples of some potential energy projects that we're thinking could be covered under this grant. This is not everything, but just to give you an idea, because weatherization is kind of a broad term. So we're thinking a lot of insulation upgrades are typically have a really good return on investment value. So that could be attic or basement insulation, some upgrades to doors or windows. Also electrical upgrades, so panel upgrades if that's required to increase your service reliability, or other wiring upgrades. Also LED lights, and other just general electric service upgrades. We're also thinking heat pumps or solar could be a really great option. These might have a higher cost, so you might have to be prepared to chip in a bit to the total cost, but just wanted to put that out there as an option. And generally speaking, these projects should help you lower your energy costs, result in energy savings, or improve service reliability. So one example where this might not fit in is EV chargers would not qualify for this. So this is just kind of a general overview. If you have any specific questions or projects that might fall outside of this list here, we can definitely chat more about that in a consultation and hopefully come to, a good project for your business. All right, next slide, please. All right, Mihaela, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here, starting with some of our examples of past energy projects that can maybe give you an idea of something you could do at your own business or organization. So the first set of examples we have are from an earlier program that ran at ANCA quite a few years ago. It was the Center for Pandemic Response. And as part of this program, we were able to provide varying amounts of funding to businesses and nonprofits, again, for energy upgrades. So this first example, the BBJ Boot Camp and Fitness Center, they are based in Ogdensburg. They offer different fitness and health classes at their facility. As you can probably guess, based on the photo, they have a pretty large space. So their heating costs were quite high. Their energy bills were quite high. So we were able to provide funding for them to get insulation and air sealing done at the location, which helped them lower their energy bills significantly. So a great example of what Kayla talked about. It's something that seems, kind of simple, but can really lower your energy costs. The second example, Tug Hill Artisan Roasters. They are a coffee roaster and cafe, and they also offer different classes and training. They've expanded and they do a little bit more of their business, but that's what they were doing at the time. This was quite a few years ago now. They're based in Lowville, and their building is actually a former historic jailhouse in downtown Lowville that they purchased and renovated. So pretty old building. And out of this program, with funding from this program, they were able to install air source heat pumps. We provided $5,000 for this project. I believe that this business might have put in some of their own funding as well, but we contributed $5,000 towards their air source heat pumps at their building to help with the efficiency and heating costs there. Hand it back over to Kayla.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to jump into one other funding opportunity that we had more recently. these dollar amounts are a little bit higher than what we saw with the CPR initiative. So just want to put a heads up there that fortunately we don't have as much funding for this as we did for some of these projects, but they will give you some examples of kind of some other opportunities and at varying dollar amounts. So we had some funding through NYSERDA, the North Country Clean Energy Hub, to do daycare and nonprofit upgrades, mostly insulation, air sealing, and heat pumps. And that funding was distributed across 5 different counties of our 7-county region. And it was about $250,000 collectively. We were able to support 9 different organizations. We were anticipating only supporting about 6, but we did have quite a few projects come in under that $40,000 cost cap. So we were able to support a broader audience, which we're really excited about. Next slide, please. So first example of kind of a case study with a dollar amount that might be closer to what we're looking at through this grant. We supported Little Tykes Daycare, both for CPR and for this campaign project that we did. The building is an old church from 1930 that was purchased in 2023 and converted into a daycare in 2024. They have the capacity to serve up to 50 children, and they have 10 employees throughout the year. And they also, as I mentioned before, worked with ANCA in the past prior to opening to get funds for ceiling insulation, which was funded through the CPR initiative. Some of the issues this building was facing was they have fire doors in just about every room. Well, every room, because it is a requirement in New York State for daycares to have these fire doors for safety reasons. So there's really uncomfortable temperatures going on, especially in the infant room, and where there's children, you of course don't want to have that issue. So the doors, since they couldn't be blocked with draft stoppers or anything that would obstruct the doors in case of emergency, they're really having a hard time balancing the temperature regulation need as well as heating a really old building with high ceilings. As I mentioned, it's an old church, and the costs of energy were just skyrocketing. So the scope of our project that we did for Little Tykes changed quite a lot throughout the whole process, which just goes to show how important the consultation process and technical assistance really is to get to a good project. We were hoping to do some insulation in the walls of the infant room or maybe some insulation in the basement, but the contractors we were working with were saying the insulation in the basement and infant room wouldn't be possible due to extensive construction needs, which isn't great with a daycare that needs to be open and operating. And the owner didn't want to close. So we decided to kind of focus on the problem areas that they were highlighting. So we did weather stripping and caulking and a lot of work around those 7 fire doors that they had throughout this building. And we also did some insulation work in areas adjacent to problem areas that we couldn't necessarily get at directly. So there's a front entrance annex and side entrance annex that are both connected to classrooms where there's a lot of cold air coming in, and we were able to do some insulation work there. So we're really hoping this improves the comfort of the building. This just happened somewhat recently, so yet to be seen in the winter time, but this project was $11,600, so definitely within a scope of something you could see in this grant as well. Okay, next slide, please. The next case study I'm going to quickly highlight is the Emmanuel Congregational Church out in Watertown. This building is huge. It was constructed in 2 different parts. The original church was built back in 1912, and an additional annex was built in 1958. The church serves as a warming and cooling center. They have a meal program that serves 2,500 meals each month, and a food pantry that serves 550 people every month. So a pretty big operation. And the main issue that they were facing is that as their programming continued to grow and take off, the building was occupied more frequently, and the indoor temperature in the summer just was not up to what it needed to be, and the rooms just kept being increasingly uncomfortable. So, and also, of course, they were having greater energy consumption and higher bills with the greater occupancy. So once they completed an energy study through NYSERDA, this energy study said they had a really great heating capacity, but their cooling capacity needed some work. So they recommended adding heat pumps in the dining hall, which is the space that, of course, people are dining in and are in pretty much every day, as well as the foyer, which really had a really direct um, heat intake right there, just the way that it's set up. So adding in a heat pump there really improved the comfort of the space. An additional project in in tandem with this outdoor with these heat pumps that happened back in January, that cost was about $25,000. But at the same time, they also were looking to complete an insulation project. They kind of started this installation project in the sanctuary attic a few years ago. It was never completed. So professional installation contractors were able to complete this project and improve the effectiveness of the existing installation. And this project cost was about $14,000. So both of these projects separately seem to also kind of be within that range we're talking about, collectively a bit more, of course. But so far, the folks at Emmanuel Congregational Church have been really happy with the work, and they're also hosting ANCA's annual meeting on June 12th. So this is a not so subtle plug that you should all attend if you can, June 12th, 1 to 3 p.m. in Watertown. All right, one more slide, please. This is just our last kind of case study. So you can see the dollar amount on this one is huge, and we'll definitely get into some of the other funding sources that went into this. But this building is an old Catholic church. It was built in 1958 and converted into a daycare in 1998. They serve about 70 children year round, have 15 staff members, and have 20 school age kids full time in the summer. So this is a year round operation. Their 20-year-old oil burning boiler used a ton of fuel, was not very efficient. And they're also in Rouse's Point, which is a municipal electric area. So rates are significantly cheaper there than in National Grid or NYSEG territory, for example. So having a boiler system in that space was even more inefficient. Classrooms there are also double the regulation size required. So they have 10-foot tall ceilings. The building is collectively over 10,000 square feet, and every room has huge windows, which you can kind of see in the picture on the right. There's, I think, 4 or 5 windows in every classroom that are that tall. So in addition to the windows and having a cinder block slab building, it got really cold in the winter and then too warm in the summer because of the windows. They've had to close due to furnace issues and had to close because they couldn't cool the classrooms down enough. So they really wanted to upgrade to something else. They wanted an electric heating and cooling system, but the upfront cost based on just the size of the building was a huge barrier. So the hub was able to provide $40,000 towards this project. They also received $13,000 in IEEP rebates, which is the Independent Energy Efficiency Program. And the rest was covered by the Adirondack Community Foundation through their Generous Acts Fund. So although this $65,000 project otherwise wouldn't have happened, they were able to kind of braid together different funding sources to make this project happen. And they had 13 heat pumps installed throughout the building, one in each classroom, one at the end of each hallway, one in their office, and one in each bathroom. So the project is just about completed. The directors already said the classrooms we're feeling warmer in the winter. We don't want them feeling warmer now with these temperatures, but they're really excited to try out the cooling this summer, and it's going to be just a great improvement for the building. So yeah, these are just a few kind of examples of projects that, with varying scopes are possibilities, and we've worked with a lot of contractors through this process where we definitely have some connections if you have questions about gathering quotes, scoping out a project, where to start. This is just an example of some very recent work that we've done that kind of lines up with this grant nicely. Awesome. Next slide, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kayla. Great to hear the details about all of those projects. They're all really, really exciting. Hopefully that has helped spark some ideas about what you might be able to do at your own business or organization, or maybe a client of yours that you work with. So if you're interested in moving forward, maybe you have a project idea or you just would like to discuss more about your energy needs at your building, this is our interest form for this program. So this will set you up for a consultation So we'll start working through these in the beginning of June. The link is there, and you can also scan the QR code. I'll try to leave this here for a minute so that folks can scan the code if they need to, but we'll be sure to share this out with the recording and the slides as well. So this will ask you just a couple of questions, some of those qualifying questions for this program that we talked about at the beginning. But even if you don't qualify to move forward with the project, we will still talk to you about your energy needs and see if there's some other resources available for you, or just if you want to learn more, things like that. So feel free to fill that out, and we will sit down and meet with you one-on-one. And then after that, here's what you can expect moving forward. So after you fill out the interest form, we will contact you to set up that one-on-one consultation. So during this consultation, we'll discuss your energy needs, and at that point, any potential project ideas that you have. And if you don't have, again, if you don't have a project that fits, we will still discuss some different opportunities and resources for you, other ways to potentially move forward. But following the consultation, assuming that your project is eligible, you'll be asked to complete a brief application. This is just to gather, make sure we're gathering all the information that we need to move forward with your project. So this may include additional information such as getting a contractor quote. And as Kayla or Aaron mentioned earlier, we will help you identify contractors. By we, I mean they will help you identify contractors. But yeah, they will help you identify contractors, help you get a quote. And then if your project moves forward, we'll just ask you to sign a memorandum of understanding. And then the way the funding works for this project is that we, ANCA, will pay the contractors directly for the project. You don't need to have those funds available up front. This doesn't work as a reimbursement. We will work with the contractors to pay them directly for the project. Okay, that wraps up all the information that we have. I'm going to stop sharing our slides so that we can see everybody. I know there were some, I'll leave this up just for a minute while I talk a little bit. I know there were some questions in the chat, I think some of which got answered, but we will open it up for Q&A now. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask if you have questions about the logistics of the program. And feel free to unmute and ask those questions out loud, or go ahead and put them in the chat and we can read them as well. So thanks everyone for coming, and have a great rest of your day.